it's one of those things where I've long since given up on the idea that computers will do the thing they should do. Computers never do the thing they should do. They do the thing that they were designed to do. And the person who decided that they were going to do whatever it was had an incomplete view of the world.
They're only doing what they're told to do.
So in fact, if you think of it this way, there's a person who has an idea of what they want. They have a job to do, or a task. And your job as a business systems analyst is to try and understand that job. But even when you do, you get this idea of the job to be done. And these are never the same. These are never the same. The customer thinks one thing. You, as the business systems analyst, think something else. Then you typically hand it over to another team of people, and they build code, or they buy code. And this doesn't match that either. It doesn't. And there's lots of good reasons why it doesn't. Sometimes you can't build something that the guy wants. You can't build what, we're all human, we all mistake ourselves for being smart. We think we know what we're doing. We don't. The big thing is you've got to come around and you've got to show it to the people. You've got to say, here's the product on your little laptop. Is this what we were supposed to build? And it isn't until you do that loop that you have any chance of getting close to what the guy wants. I just released alpha version 0.1.0 of this product that I'm making for a client. And it is as close as I can get to what the guy told me he wanted. And of course, the first thing that happens is he goes, why is this like this? And you say, well, that's what you asked for. He says, well, that doesn't make any sense. The thing you have to get into the idea of is this is fine. This is what happens. The mistake I made was I didn't write the contract where he had to pay for those kind of things. That's a mistake. That was my mistake. We are going to, it's a fixed bid contract. So every time he says, no, it should work like this, we have to have a conversation around, well, that's going to take extra time. The nice thing is we have to make it to the actual alpha test. We have to make it to 1.0 by the end of February. And we are furiously coding. I was this guy, now I'm this guy. I'm furiously coding to see if we can make what this guy asked me for.
So when you say coding, that means basically like programming?
Yep. So designing the database models, I gave him an ERD, 6 months ago. He doesn't know from ERDs. I gave him wireframes. I gave him HTML and CSS, and it had enough JavaScript that it actually looks and feels like a website. And he said, okay. Now I'm wiring it up to the database, and it's actually doing it. Yesterday's big milestone was it's supposed to send email on certain occasions for certain reasons, and it's doing that. So the first major feature of the website is now online, and it's doing what it's supposed to do. Well, it's doing what I thought it was supposed to do.
You and my dad would get along great. My dad was a system software programming analyst for 30 years, and he started out doing C, C++, and he worked for IBM, BPA, OSHA, and yeah, I was telling him about the class and all that, and the coding and all. He goes, oh yeah, I know he's going through. He goes, I'm always being asked to design a program, and then he goes, that's not what we wanted, that's what you said.
Right. Right. So the big trick here, and we've talked about this before, in the analysis phase, is to try and feed back this as quickly as possible. You know, you put your ERDs down, you put your biz rules down, and you say to yourself, you say to your client, this is what I think you want me to build. And they tell you yes or no, and you iterate on that. Then really the only thing that can help you is to get to code as fast as possible, is to get to a product as fast as possible. People don't understand anything until they see it. And even if they have great imagination, there's no reason why their imagination should match yours. I mean, that's the deal with imagination. So today what we're talking about, we're going to continue from Tuesday. We're talking about when you're over here. In this case, we're talking about making tables. We're talking about designing the guts of your database. And there's a whole bunch going on there that the customer just doesn't care about. They just don't care. It's internal. You've got a product that does what it does, and you're not happy with how it's designed because it's slow or it's inefficient. That's very important. And that's your job, but nobody cares besides you. Nobody cares. Now perhaps your client has a requirement that says this database has to return a result for 1 million records in less than a second. It has to be able to do a query that looks at 1 million records and brings back a result in less than a second. If that's a requirement, if the customer says speed is of the essence and that's what we want, then yes, they'll be paying attention to that. I happen to have a client who doesn't care. He's a psychologist and he cares about the user experience. He wants it to feel a certain way. And he wants people using it to have a certain psychological reaction. The psychological reaction he wants us to have, by the way, is called dekinetic. He wants the site to be dekinetic. I didn't know this word. We did a dog and pony show for him and a bunch of industry luminaries, smart people, experts in the field, and we showed them the design. And they said, "This is perfect. This is dekinetic." And I was like, "Ooh, good. What does dekinetic mean?" And it means that when you use this site, it calms you down, and it backs you off the edge of a cliff, which has to do mostly with the way it's designed and the way it appears. So we're hitting on all cylinders when the customer's view of what he wants is a particular state of mind. So I'm designing the database here, the code. It's got a database. It's got in here, it's got Ruby on Rails. It's got HTML, CSS, this whole sort of stuff. All the HTML and CSS is done. Now I'm doing the behaviors, how the thing actually responds to you, whether it sends email or not. And frankly, he doesn't care. So from now to February, as far as he's concerned, nothing is going on. That it doesn't look any different than it did back in January. Why am I spending so much time on it? I don't know of a good way to deal with that, other than to show him this is
Put a giant bug on the homepage. Now we got bugs, we have to work on it. Then we need to go away.
Well, see, that's a good thing. Most people only understand what they can see. So yes, if you put something on the website and then take it away, it's a visible sign that something has been made.
Really easy to do.
Remove one bug, a whole bunch of bugs, just remove one at a
It's
time.
like
so you
still
see
to do,
progress.
bug list, progress list, have an actual bug there, so they understand this is a bad thing. When it's squashed, they can have guts and on the side.
And have a celebration.
Right, yeah. Just make it as morbid as possible.
So anyway, today I want to come back around and let's talk about making the internals work better. Let's talk about making the internals work better.